There's a reason Madrid are one of the most entertaining teams to watch, and we saw why in the 3-0 win against Man City in the Champions League. As always, we're going to cover the small details that make the biggest difference with players' technique, whether it's in receiving, dribbling, or movement, which will help any of you players or coaches watching. But we're also going to cover how Madrid's formation and setup complements their players perfectly. We're going to cover 1. Positional freedom. Instead of players being tied to their position like many teams, Madrid allow a lot more freedom. For example, Vinicius running all the way across the pitch to the opposite side and Mbappe becoming the left winger with Rodrigo as a striker. We'll cover why this is so deadly. 2. Individual brilliance. Because these players are so good, they can't be kept in a box. The individual brilliance with dribbling gives them the license to go and try something. The individual brilliance with receiving and press resistance gives Madrid an advantage when playing out and keeping possession too. 3. Forward runs. The aggression Madrid's midfielders and fullbacks run into spaces and cause all sorts of chaos is amazing. And also, I want you to think about the fitness this takes. So we have the 3 areas that we're going to cover, and I want to cover them all isolated. For example, we may look at the same clip, but each time pointing out a different thing. This way, it doesn't become too overwhelming. So let's get into it. 1. Positional freedom. Here we see Bellingham and Rodrigo have exchanged positions. Now, Bellingham and Vinicius. Now, with Vinicius being the striker and Mbappe dropping off as a number 10. Now, think how confusing this is for the opposition team. You go into a game as a centre-back, for example, and you're against Mbappe, who is a striker on paper. Now, he drops here. So now the centre-backs are having to think, as well as the full-back now marking Bellingham instead of Vinicius, who will also now be wondering where Vinicius went. So do you see how this can easily cause the defence to become so unorganised? The game isn't black and white anymore with who they are marking. And then on top of this, for the defenders, the communication now is key. It's one extra thing to constantly be thinking about. Having no idea who's running on your blind side, as any rotation is possible. Now, for the second goal, which we will cover in more detail, we see a rotation between the centre mid and the left winger. Now the right winger and the right fullback. But the rotations aren't done yet. Vinicius coming all the way across from the left to here. Meanwhile, Mbappe staying out of it, leaving these two confused. Both coming to press Bellingham with the right winger in front, but not realising there is now an overload on the side of the pitch due to Vinicius running across the whole pitch. Now, Rodrigo the striker and Mbappe left wing. Can we appreciate how many rotations we just seen in one attack? When done right, like Madrid done here, it is ridiculously hard to stop. For example, in most other games, the centre-backs and full-backs wouldn't even need to check the shoulder here. No one would be making this run, especially if the striker is on the other side of the pitch. But here, Vinicius overloaded the right side. And think how rare it is to see a winger running across to the other side when the other winger is still on that side. The fullback making a run into the winger's slot, Vinicius playing to Mbappe, who takes it deep, with Vinicius now becoming the striker and Mbappe a midfielder. Similar here with Mbappe a midfielder, Vinicius striker, Bellingham right wing, and Rodrigo centre mid. Now 2 wingers on one side of the pitch again, with the fullback a striker and Mbappe deeper. And it just keeps going. Bellingham now left wing, both wingers centre mids, and the fullback as a right winger. How are you meant to defend against this? And I could show many more clips, but you get the point. Let's finish with this Mbappe goal. Mbappe now right wing and Rodrigo striker. So we've covered the first thing that makes this Madrid team effective and exciting to watch. This section alone is a big reason why, but far from understanding the whole picture. Because in order for your players to be able to play in any position, they need to have 2. Individual brilliance. A perfect start for Madrid with such a high line, and this pass couldn't have been more perfect. Ruben Diaz missing it by this much, any lighter and he intercepts it. Now, as the ball bounces, look how Mbappe glances. A pattern all top players do. Without this, he'd never know the keeper is off his line. Vinicius here in a 1v1, running on a bait angle of approach down the line to keep the defender going here. Pause, look at the size of his stride here. Into an immediate plant to fake burst inside with the step over as the fake touch. Again, his legs really wide with this for maximum bait. And we see what it does to the defender. A heavy plant to run inside. Now, probably the most underrated player in the world right now, Rodrigo. And this isn't the only bit of brilliance we see from him this game. As the ball is coming to him, he senses the pressure here. Now, this disguise is next level. A small push off to bring his momentum here, bringing his foot to the ball early, all mimicking a touch here, or stopping the ball with the sole of his foot, enticing the defender in. Now, his foot makes contact, he hops to the side and flicks it down the line all at the same time, and then cuts across his man, which now leads to a shot on goal on the edge of the box. Bellingham here. How many other centre mids do we see doing this? He opens up, a small delay to bring the defender's line here, and then a diagonally touch forwards to basically cut across his man. A step over to burst down the line into a Ronaldo chop against the defender's momentum. Delaying perfectly, waiting for the right time to do the fake cross, chopping the ball back this way as the defender has gone to block here. We see the Madrid players play with so little fear and so much freedom. Now, the amount of things any player can learn from this Madrid second goal is insane. 23 seconds from here, the ball is in the back of the net. Let's watch it play out. As the ball comes to the centre-back, Foden can't go on the fullback due to this potential pass. With the forward press in here, the fullback drops deep to give the centre-back a passing lane. As the ball is played, we see the centre mid go out wide and the winger now drop in. With this pass to feet, this player needs to drop in. Now Tchouaméni is free. One key thing to point out is Mendy here for you fullbacks. Notice how he doesn't just stand still on the ball. A common mistake I see from so many fullbacks. He's brave enough to drive into the space to then assess how the opposition are moving. If he doesn't do this, he doesn't cause as much movement from the opposition. The more he drives here, the more he attracts players to him. Tchouaméni switches the play with 7 Man City players over this side of the pitch. Rodrigo dropping in, and let's appreciate this touch. With his laces, the smallest surface area of your foot, so he has to angle his foot perfectly in relation to the flight. Now we already have 4 Madrid players behind the midfielder line. How is this possible? If we rewind, look at this huge vacant space. Madrid can often leave an extra player up due to their players' press resistance and decision-making ability. Bellingham keeping right out of play, which also pins this man back. As the ball's switched, Vinicius, who dropped in, is now spinning off. Rodrigo driving inside to explore the pass to Bellingham, but it's blocked off. An outside chop with a sharp pass. Now, as this pass is being played, look at Bellingham. An aggressive run in behind, which brings both defenders this way. Now, he puts on the brakes and finds himself a pocket of space thanks to that run in behind. Bellingham opening out as the centre-back didn't want to press too deeply, especially with Rodrigo making a run here. Now Vinicius, who's playing left wing, has come all the way across the pitch to create this overload going undetected, thanks to Madrid's position fluidity. Now, look how Vinicius gets the advantage. He doesn't just run across. He runs across, now stops and comes to feet for a second, making the defender come this way and burst down the line again. Such a little detail, but such a big difference. Now with Mbappe drifting to the left wing, Rodrigo takes his spot as striker. A cut back to Rodrigo, and this right here is genius and everybody's missed it. Here he reads the defender, will block off the passing lane and plays it through the legs instead. We see Messi does this all the time. Look at the disguise on this. Mbappe takes it in his stride, which sets up a fake shot perfectly, as the defender needs to run across more. Snap inside, touch, near post finish. This is Madrid at their very best. Pinpoint cross here from Valverde, but strikers know Mbappe's movement. Instead of just staying on this line, moving here slowly, he keeps good momentum by making a curved run to then dart in at the last second. And a great save from the keeper. Now Mbappe's hat-trick. This skill R9 used to do all the time, and I actually have a clip from around 7 years ago in non-league in England doing this exact same skill and a left foot finish. This skill isn't used much, but it's an amazing way to get yourself half a yard for a shot, and this was one of my signatures. Also drop in the comments who done it better, me or Mbappe. Madrid playing out here, and we see some great press resistance. Bellingham receiving square with pressure to his side with all of this space. The obvious option is to turn into that, and that's what he baits to do. A back foot stop mimicking an open out, which brings the defender running to this space. Now, la croqueta to avoid. And this is a pattern. I know this because I spent 8 months full-time mapping out every single receiving pattern, and with this knowledge, I created our latest program, Mastering the Art of Receiving. And when I say every receiving pattern, I mean every single one. No stone left unturned. With all of the cues, triggers mapped out in such a simple way. I make products that I wish I had when I was a professional player, and if I had got my hands on this when I was playing, I'd have been playing higher than League One. Link in the description below to that. Bellingham now plays to Mendy, who touches it away from pressure and gets his leg across his man's path, now moving it backwards again. Now look, this is the difference. Instead of going back to the keeper, he breaks this line. Notice how the midfielders are always supporting too. Back foot stop, away from pressure, using the space behind him perfectly to bring the attacker this way. Now going for a fake pass, and a really good tackle here, and Madrid get very fortunate. Bellingham facing up the defender again, using the space towards his own goal, like all great press-resistant players do. Now he can predict the attacker 9 times out of 10 will press this side to block off this passing lane. As he's moving towards the ball, he's glancing, seeing which way around the attacker is coming just to make sure. Now a Thiago leg shake. Mimicking a pass here, then a sharp touch out wide. Notice slightly diagonally backwards, that's really important. That's a huge pattern with press resistance. Horizontally here, the defender would have tackled him. And finally, this pinpoint switcher play, making it look effortless. Rodrigo now showing his quality. With the defender's momentum coming here, he goes inside. Predicting, he will of course plant and run back inside. He delays with a hot body feint and chops it back out wide. Doing a fake drive down the line, making the defender retreat. Now he has more time on the ball. He breaks the line to Mbappe, who slows down, touches it slightly, now comes to life with a sharp step over and a burst down the line, and Ronaldo used this one a lot. Now into a cut across. Although Mbappe is fast, notice how he didn't just simply knock it and run. It doesn't work at the higher levels. It's so easy to miss lots of these little details when watching a live game with so much going on, but hopefully this gives you an idea of what the standard is like at the highest level. Just to clarify though, players don't have 100% success rate in everything they do. We're showing all of the good stuff here. So don't set the wrong expectations in your head that you can't give the ball away or make a mistake. And always remember, giving the ball away is actually the best way you can learn as well, especially if you're going back through your clips and reverse engineering what went wrong. So form a good relationship with it. Now, lastly, 3 forward runs. This section is great to highlight the intensity Madrid play at and individual players' fitness. Firstly, look at how much power the fullback Mendy is running with this high up the pitch. We may say it's risky to push defenders this high, but the more players a team push forward, the more defenders the opposition also needs to bring back. Mbappe playing a false nine role a lot of this game, dropping deep, and look at the numbers running in behind. Now a 3v3 out wide, and this clip just shows the confidence everyone has in each other's ability. We have the fullback as a striker, Mbappe here with Vinicius out wide and the centre mid. And even when we have the two now retreating, we have another centre mid making such an aggressive run, pulling away these players. Mbappe again deep, with Bellingham running here and the fullback sprinting forwards to join the attack, pinning Man City in. Paused with Rodrigo on the ball, look how many Man City players are in the box, with 7 Madrid players in such a small space too, pinning the whole team back. Also note how these two running here brings the whole defence back now. Rodrigo has space on the edge of the box. This amazing Valverde cross we've already covered, 4 Madrid players sprinting into the box. Rodrigo dribbling here, we see the fullback here, again with Madrid now boxing in Man City, giving them a taste of their own medicine. Mbappe receiving this ball, Bellingham making this run, which drags away this player, again freeing up someone on the edge of the box. This went on all night, and as you're starting to see, Madrid have it all. Sometimes when players get really good, especially at younger ages as well, players sometimes then begin to slack off on the work ethic side of the game. But to be a complete team, it's essential that you outrun your opponents. Now, it can be easy to see this list if you're a coach and go, okay, I'm just going to replicate the whole Madrid philosophy with my team. But here's the problem. Around 3 years ago, when I had to immediately retire due to a misdiagnosed health problem, I picked up coaching in Europe. I was the under-7s coach, and within around 8 months, I'd worked my way up promotion after promotion to the assistant head coach of the women's first team who played in the top division. Halfway through the season, the gaffer gets sacked, and then I'm appointed as a head coach. And at the age of 25, this was a massive shock. But I backed myself, and the club did too, as I'd already started implementing a lot of the CMP stuff, and players were improving a lot. But when I got appointed, one of the first things I done was ring one of my friends who's a gaffer in England. And if you're not from the UK, gaffer just means head coach. I was telling him what formation I want to play, what style I want to play, like just completely running away with it all. And then he stopped me and told me some really important information and advice that I didn't think about at the time. It's not tactics or playing style first. It's assessing your player's ability and then building the tactics and playing style around their ability. So if you don't have any press resistant players, or a really fit and athletic team, could you adopt this Madrid style of play? No. If you have a long time with your team, then you could start to make a plan on how you're going to do that. And a big part of that would be play development. But you need a lot of time on your side, and that's what I didn't have. So with this advice, I found a great balance, and we started playing some great football. But just to finish off that whole point, one of the most frustrating things that I do here, which is quite normal, is if you see your players can't do X, Y, and Z, and you choose a certain formation, is then not trying to address what they can't do. And this is why it's really important for players to become press resistant in any position, so you could fit into a system like this, where you're required to pick the ball up in different zones. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go and check out all of our programs designed to help players truly elevate the game. Also on the website, you'll see our camp dates for 2025. But most of all, keep chasing your potential.